So, hello everyone. I do television sound and have done since the year dot. And then a director suggested to me, please will you learn how to take earpiece mouldings, get earpieces made. I have issues with the company who seem to do everybody, so please, for my sake, would you go out and learn to do this. So I went to the original company who said, oh no, we won't teach you, train you how to do it. No, we're quite happy. So I went to another company called Pure Tone, who started off doing hearing aids. They do Presenters Earpieces. They do a lot of the in-ear monitoring that we see on The Voice and various other companies, a lot of pop groups as well. So we can offer, once we've got your ear moulding, a whole range of stuff, from swimming plugs to sleeping earplugs. And those that like to go out shooting, we can do some very expensive but high-end digital ear defenders. And we do other ear defenders for musicians and that sort of thing. Yes, I'm not a very good salesman. I hate selling these things. So what I'll do is I'll get on with showing you. It's a simple process, and I've got some goo. It's made up of two vibrant colours, and they need to be mixed together in my hand, put into a very blunt syringe, and squeegeed into the ear. But before we do anything else, I'm getting on a bit. I have to use these things now. First, we have to check that Richard's ear is clear.
And we've already checked it.
Here's one I checked earlier, but I'll still show you what we have to do. When I was trained, quite a number of years ago, I've been doing this 12, 14 years, I don't know how long, I said, oh, right, so once we've checked someone's ear, then we can see it's clean. He said, no, clean is not the word we use, clear. So we have a pathway into the ear. But everyone produces earwax, and it's a perfectly natural thing, but sometimes it does get a little impacted. And if you've got a problem, go and see your doctor, because I'm not trained to tell anyone. But I did have somebody who said, oh, should I go and see the doctor? I said, yes, go and I still can't remember the man's name. We were talking about him earlier. Anyway, he was one of the old school presenters. I'll remember it by the end. So, ear is clear, I've got a pathway in. So the next thing, having had a good search into the ear canal, I put in a foam block attached to a piece of cotton so we don't lose it. This. Glasses on again. You're being very attentive. Thank you. I appreciate this. I teach
From what I remember, it had to be very quiet when I did this.
Well, when I've mixed up the goo, it already starts, it's in two parts, and it already starts to cure. So I have to squeegee it in, and while it's setting for the 5 minutes, I usually ask the client not to talk, or chew, or drink coffee, or whatever, because as the jaw moves, the ear canal just changes a little bit. So you might as well get the man at rest. He can talk now if he wishes.
Okay.
While I put this in your...
It's going to be tough.
Talk us through.
So that's about it, really. Sometimes people... I once had a man very high up in a bank who had to do quite a bit of presenting for the bank, and he was a rugby player, and I was just starting to push this thing in, he was like this, whereas other people don't flinch, which is fantastic. Very easy. One lady described, because I did both ears, and when I took the impressions out, I said, did you like that? She said, well, it's like diving. Oh, do you like diving? No, I loathe it. So, I left shortly after that. Another lady was in her apartment. She said, oh yes, my ear's clean. I work very hard to make sure they're all clean. I've got a bit of an obsession. Could you do another one? And with that, I left. I thought that was going to get a little bit too awkward. It's funny who you meet. I've looked after people from... Still haven't done a Prime Minister yet. I'm going to try with this one. Blair wasn't interested and Brown wasn't interested. But I've done Jack Straw, who very nice man, a very ordinary man, a count as well, I seem to remember.
So I remember the first time that I actually had this done. It was a weird sensation. Now I've had it done, it's kind of like I know what to expect, but it was a little bit. I was a little bit. Oh, does it hurt?
Well, it's not hurting
But it
yet,
doesn't
is
hurt.
it?
No, it doesn't hurt.
How often do you recommend doing it?
Once I have the impressions, I keep them for 3 years. They do change shape a little bit after that. So if you do have an accident or need more earpieces or lose them, then we can quickly do a replacement. Earpieces, I don't have much repeat business because people do look after them. There was one chap said he needed some more. He said, "I'm really sorry, I left it behind on the Afghan border or somewhere." So he really didn't mind getting another earpiece because he had his life. Anyway, 5 minutes of silence.
Yes. Yes.
Try and get no air bubbles in there. Make sure. Obviously, with a custom earpiece, it's exactly the shape of your ear. So the reason I go to the MPs, and I must do another male shot, I think, is that they do what we in the business, what you guys know as a DTL down the line. And isn't it fascinating with an MP watching them waiting for their earpiece to come out? So what I try and explain to them is that surely you want to get the message across rather than actually wait or struggle with your earpiece. And sometimes they understand. Somewhere I've got a stopwatch. There we go. Oops. So I'll let him out in 5 minutes. So this stuff cures to about 90-95% of its final strength in the 5 minutes. 24 hours it's cured. So I keep the impressions, as I say, for about 3 years. But usually people come back to me after 5 or 6 or 7 years and say, "Oh, I need another earpiece. I finally lost the second one." Anyone, and this is coming from me as somebody who's been aware of my ears for many, many years, anyone who's doing 24-hour news shows or something like that, who are on maybe, I don't know, 4 or 5 hours a day, several days a week, I do suggest that they get a left and a right, and they use one, maybe 1 week, and swap to one the other week. Especially when I've done people at Sky and BBC News, because the ears do get tired. And also, depending on what you're doing, if you wear an earpiece this side and the camera's shooting from here, we don't see it, and the other way around. In noisy situations, sometimes presenters have to wear 2 earpieces. I have done some cut-back musicians in ear monitoring. Sue Barker and a number of other people used to do rugby, and when they're pitch side, if they wear these earpieces, they're designed to keep a lot of noise out, as well as high-quality drivers inside. Does anyone go to Arsenal Football Club? No.
Anyone ever Bruce Springsteen concert without it?
But not for the football. There is a chap there that keeps the crowd happy in between, beforehand and so on. And one year, I think when they won something or other, I'm hopeless with football, for the second year running, they came to me in a hurry because they wanted to spend money on earpieces. Because the first time round, because the crowd was so loud, he just couldn't hear anything. And they worked. It was a bit of a bitch getting money out of Arsenal, but we got there in the end. So while that's still curing, I have a handy flat pack box. It's just like being on Blue Peter here. For those that remember Blue Peter, which I guess most of you do. I had an interesting young adulthood. As a kid, I would obviously watch Blue Peter, and a number of years later, there I was actually working on the programme in the Blue Peter studio, which quite strange because they always called it the Blue Peter studio, yet it was one different studio from one week to the next, or from the Monday and Thursday, I think it was. So they always lied. Sometimes it was a small studio, sometimes it was larger, but yes. So one day I'll get round to writing a book about my exploits of those 16 years at Television Centre. Very privileged. I've worked on some amazing programmes. Sorry, I'm just padding here. I don't tell too many jokes.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Just how far is that going into the ear? I don't know.
Well, I can either show you one I did earlier, or, I mean, not with Richie,
Just interested.
but they actually go in we want to handle these. They're going far further than we actually get. Oh, sorry, I've walked right past camera.
How far do they actually go in?
But the actual earpieces themselves are cut back further, so they don't go in too far.
And the idea is it just blocking all of the noise?
For Presenters Earpiece, which we do in a clear acrylic, there's a tiny hole in it more for pressure, but some, I don't know, maybe a handful of people in the hundreds I've done want the hole drilled a little bit bigger because they can't hear everything around them, they feel too blocked off. And usually in that case we drill it out a bit and it's not quite right, we'll drill it a bit more and sometimes more again. It's easier that way than actually drilling it too big and then problem at the end. I'm not sure what else I can say. I've got a little demonstration box. I went to one of Pure Tone's demo days and they gave me a box for free, which is fantastic, which has got imitations of all the hearing products. But I highly recommend anyone who's doing quite a lot of television, it sounds like sales pitch again, having your own custom earpiece, you do look after it, you know where it's been, and it stays in your ear, because obviously it's the right shape. A lot of the ladies I've found over the years have much smaller ear canals, and even the smallest generic earpiece never go in, so they're always falling out. So I guess some of you do have trouble with generic earpieces along the way. But yeah, I never really intended to pass this round, but I just happen to have them in my bag.
Can I just give you a tip on using them if you're using them for a long time? The other bit that gets sore is that bit there.
Yes.
So put a piece of gaffer tape under your hair and take some of the pressure off, because otherwise if you wear them for hours they can hurt.
Yes, good point. The ones we supply have a curly tube on them and a clip just to keep it from doing that.
Yeah, but I always find that if you just secure it there.
Maybe a bit of gaffer helps. If you buy an earpiece from me, thank you. Oh, we can do a cutaway afterwards. If I do supply an earpiece, oh God, jeez, sorry about that. And it's not right, you must come back to me. Because I have a reputation, I've been doing this a long time, I do have presenters who go 6 months down the line, oh, it's really uncomfortable, it's pressing on my ear. Well, you were meant to tell me in a week of having had the thing. The hard tubing over the ear, I can heat up and reform it. If you just warm it up with a hairdryer as well, don't bend it too much because it can kink, and then blow on it to set it, you can lift it. Sometimes they are quite heavy over
Mine
the
is
ear.
25 years old.
Maybe it's time for a new one.
Oh, do you know anybody who does them?
No, sorry, I'll switch you. So this quite easily. Now, depending on the state, when it's out, mind you, you've seen those. Just stretch here a little bit. It's a long way in between the outside and the actual eardrum. That's very clean. There we are. Actually goes this way. Here's one I molded earlier.
I can hear.
So this now goes off to the...
I can hear.
This goes off to the lab, and they used to be a lot quicker, but they don't. So it could take 3 weeks or so. If you're in a desperate situation, you can pay a bit extra and get it set out within 48 hours of arriving at the lab. So here endeth the presentation.